Hello everyone, 2017 Ford Powerstroke. Did the no limit EGR delete. Haven't seen any videos on the 2017 itself. I know everything's pretty similar, so I thought I'd make one in case anyone needed some extra clarification on things. I'm no expert at this stuff, but gave it my best shot and it came out good. So removing everything wasn't too bad. I already had the intake in place. I did get rid of the tube here just to better be able to get to nuts and bolts and whatnot. The 2017 kit, you don't need any extra hoses. I know that I've seen on this, I think it's 16 and below, they come with different hoses here. You don't need any of that. I guess the 17 is a little different. As far as removing the EGR, everything was pretty simple. The two bolts, of course, the dreaded ones that hold down the pipe there, were a little tough. I did it a little differently and they came out good. I did soak them down with some PB Blaster the day before while the motor was hot and just kind of kept soaking them. Hopefully that helped. I guess it did. So luckily I got those out. The right one here was decently easy. This left one was really tight. So that's what it looks like done. Show you the EGR here. You've got it. All the nuts and bolts on this come out really easily. You've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. The different thing on, I guess, the 17 is a lot of people say that there's a nut back here with a clip. Well, there's not. It's now on top here. Everything was pretty easy to get to with the ratchet. I believe it's all an 8mm. This back one was a little tricky, just because it's underneath, part of the hood there. But everything came out really easily. The one different thing that I did, which I think helped save not breaking those two bolts, I cut this pipe. So you can't remove this whole thing without getting this pipe off first because it blocks it. So I cut it. These two where it bolts here come out really easily. Everything that's bolted into here comes off really easily. So I don't care for doubling up long extensions or swivels or anything like that, because I feel like you're just not really getting a good bite on the bolt, and that's why I feel like, it's not why they break, but I feel like it adds to why they break. So I cut this and was able to get the EGR out, and then tackled these two bolts down here because I was able to get to them really easily after getting this out. So once you have this loose, like I said, it's all these bolts that you can obviously see. There's also a wire harness that two bolts right there facing up. Try and show you. Bolts here and here. You just unscrew those. And that wire harness is this right here. Sorry. Is this right here. So you have a bolt here and a bolt here. And then, like I said, all your surrounding bolts. As far as getting it out, it came out really easily. Once you disconnect your line here, that kind of goes up and out of the way. I didn't unplug any of this, didn't feel like I needed to. Everything was pretty accessible with leaving it there. Once you have everything unbolted, and like I said, I cut that pipe, so I was able to get the EGR out with leaving just the one piece of tube left here. It just pops up. You kind of got to give it a little yank. Pops up and forward, and it came out pretty easily. Didn't really have to fight it much at all. So once I was able to get that, as you can see, there's clearly a ton of room now to get to these bolts. So I put heat on them. I put the heat on the actual, manifold, not the bolt itself. Continue to do PB Blaster. Gave it some good hits with the punch, just to try and get some vibration down on those threads, and they broke loose. Once they broke loose, just go slow with them out, but right away I could tell that I got lucky, I guess. This is where you put the straight fitting. There's a straight barb fitting that they give you, because you don't need the line coming from the EGR anymore. So you cut that, connect those two. Here's the other vacuum that doesn't get used. Everything just obviously unplugs. Trying to think of what else was a little different. That's about it. You will need to reuse the metal gasket under this. This is probe off of stock exhaust. I think the reason why you have to use this one and not the one that comes stock in the EGR is, I think the thread size is just different. I believe that's the only difference. Could be wrong, not sure. There's two O-ring gaskets, whatever you want to call them, underneath this that come off stock that stay in the block. So you reuse that. This has the pass-through plate. So the pass-through plate goes on top, and then they give you an O-ring that goes in between these two, and that seals it. There's an O-ring for this. Everything went together, like I said, pretty well. No expert at it, but just took my time with it. I was only nervous about doing these two dreaded bolts back here, and once I got those out, it was pretty smooth sailing. I'll probably shrink wrap or heat wrap these plugs. So there's your obvious plugs that you take out right on top. And there's another plug that, let me see if I can get to it. Another plug that plugs in right here, right behind the fan shroud there. Plugs in right there. It's kind of a pain to get off just because there's a clip that you have to pull up before you pinch it and pull out. But got that off. Again, not bad. You first have to obviously drain the side of the radiator, which is plugs down there. When I went to drain it, I believe there's supposed to be, I'm gonna say, I think 2 to 3 gallons that come out. For some reason, I don't know if I didn't screw that drain plug enough, but I feel like I only got out maybe 1 gallon or so, so I knew it was gonna come at some point. And once I broke the seal on those 2 O-rings or gaskets underneath the EGR, there went the fluid. So kind of made a little mess, but not a big deal. I didn't take off the headlight or the grill or anything like that. It was a pain to get to the drain plug because it is up and underneath there, so you gotta lay on the ground. You can get to it, it's just a pain, but I didn't feel like taking all this off. And if you don't care about fluid going all over the floor, or if you're doing this in gravel or dirt or whatever, honestly I would have just let it all drain out from here as she goes. Kind of makes a mess, but you can wash it down. It's not gonna hurt anything. I think that's it. Hopefully I clarified some stuff for the 17s out there. It's pretty much the same kit. There's just a couple of differences, and the directions are kind of crappy. You know, not the best pictures and whatnot. So, yeah. Let me know if there's any questions. Again, I'm no expert at this, but came out good.